Hello, friends, and welcome back to r/MaliciousCompliance. Sometimes people have to work with two-faced employees who at any convenient moment will set you up, as well as our OP at a time when he had a difficult period in life was set up, but the last word rested with him. But before we begin, don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. A couple of coworkers got me fired while I was going through a breakup. It was my time to shine. This happened last Thursday. I was working on a job that we'd been on for about 2 months. I'm a plumbing apprentice, so typically you aren't supposed to be on your phone on the job. However, I was going through a pretty nasty breakup and I was upset about it. I wasn't on my phone too much though. I only responded a few times when I had a minute to do so. And I took one phone call that lasted all of 2 minutes, basically just to diffuse the situation for the time being so I could deal with the situation after work. I thought nothing of this because my coworkers were on their phones throughout the day too. They always more or less moved at their own pace and did as they pleased so long as the boss or his son wasn't around. The difference between us is they felt like they were untouchable because they were all also close friends with the boss's son. But you wouldn't know it, given the amount of time they spent making fun of the guy, both in texts and in person. Also, on this particular breakup day, the guys decided to take an hour-and-a-half lunch. Our lunches are only supposed to be 30 minutes long. This wasn't anything out of the ordinary, though, as they've taken lunches anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour long every day since we've been on this particular job. Okay, that's cool. So I left the job site in a separate truck as two of the other guys that I worked with, a few minutes behind them because I was talking to the general contractor for a minute before I left. So when I got back to the shop, I see the two other guys walking away to their cars, and I parked and went to clock out. Before I could do so, the boss's son pulled me aside and said the two guys that had just left said I hadn't done anything all day. Not true, I was running water lines by myself, and I've only been doing this for less than a year, so my speed obviously isn't crazy fast. He said they also told him I was on my phone all day, which was also not true. He told me my check would be there in the morning, but I no longer have a job. I was angry and upset, so I just walked out and drove home. I could have left it at that, but I was out for blood at this point. I sent both the boss and his son a detailed message telling them how their employees on this job have been effing off the entire time. I told them about the hour-plus long lunches, the phone use on their end, the fact that they'd often just stand around on the job and talk to each other, and the general day-to-day bullcrapping they would do when the boss wasn't there, which was a lot. To top it off, I told the boss's son separately about all the crap talking they do on him, how they say he's dating a whore, how they don't like hanging out with him outside of work, and they're all going to quit when the business goes to him. Oh, and I included some screenshots of little bullcrap they said about him in a group text a few weeks prior, just for added pettiness. He said, okay, thanks. When I went to the shop the next day, I found my check on the desk, next to the screenshots of my text that had been printed out with several copies for the guys to read. My face lit up with the most evil grin imaginable. I called my only friend I had at this job. He told me the guys that had been on the job with me looked like ghosts when the boss's son handed them those texts. I also found out one of the guys was apparently already on thin ice, had no clue, and he got fired as well. I guess since he was the guy's friend, but also only an apprentice, he found that he was more disposable than he thought. He also told me the boss's son told them he would fire anybody and not to think it wouldn't happen to them too. Also, a strict no-phone policy was implemented. Since then, I found a new, better-paying job, and I left a dumpster fire in my wake. Sounds like a very toxic environment to work in. I'm glad you were able to leave that place and find a better-paying job. Company. And our second story. A landslide of negative experiences on OfferUp leads to me bringing someone down with me. I hate to use OfferUp. I had accumulated a whole lot of pent-up bitterness at the countless people that have ghosted me, wasted my time, lowballers, etc. My second to most recent exchange was me driving out 30 minutes to buy a laptop, waiting at a Starbucks, the guy telling me the laptop wasn't done factory resetting, waiting for him for hours while I did my shopping, and then finally ghosting me. I told him if I were you, I'd delete my account and take down all the listings. I then logged into an alt account about a day later and changed my name to Anton Chiger and messaged him about an item he had for sale. He told me yes, it was available. Then I asked him, what's the most you've ever lost in a coin toss? He left me on red, and then a day later his account was gone. Or he blocked me, I don't know. I like to believe he thought he was about to be executed by a cattle euthanizer. But this wasn't the most recent event. 2 months later, I found myself short on rent, and conveniently somebody messaged me that morning about a VR headset I had for sale. I was like, yes, this is perfect, because he seemed like a serious buyer. We were messaging back and forth all morning, asking me questions about the headset, even planned to drive out to him 30 minutes so we could meet somewhere that was closer and more convenient to him. I asked him what time we could meet. I'm available now. He said he was at school, but he'll let me know when he's on his way to our meetup location. I asked if he could at least give me an ETA so I can plan my day out. Leaves me on red. 3 hours go by and I realize this guy's full of crap. So I log onto the alt account and message him about an item he has for sale. Immediately he responds saying it's available. All right, cool. I've got him nibbling on the bait. I asked if we could meet in a couple hours, but asked if he could drive to me because I don't have a car. I choose a fake location in a suburban neighborhood about a 30-minute drive from him. Initially, he leaves me on red, but then I ask him if he'll do it for an extra 30. He immediately responds yes. All right, so I got this guy on the hook. I go about my day. Oh, and a nice surprise, my check ended up clearing the bank, so I don't have to worry about being short on rent anymore. I'm at the bank when I get a message from him saying he's on his way. 30 minutes later, he tells me he's outside the address I gave him, 123 West F Street. I waste his time by telling him I don't see him, and oops, I gave him the wrong address. It's only 1 block away at 456 West F Street. I take my time before checking again, and there's a message saying he's been waiting a few minutes at the correct address. I tell him, do you know what the F in WF Street stands for? He says, 4th Street? And I say, F stands for F you inconsiderate crap. Next time, think twice before wasting people's time. Would it have taken much effort to at least send a message saying, sorry, I'm no longer interested? You're not the main character. People have lives. Get effed. Hook, line, and sinker, baby. He responds, what? And then I block him. And I block him from my main account, too. Oh man, that was such a satisfying moment. All the pent-up bitterness from all the bullcrap I've dealt with from this scum of OfferUp just released at once. Hope he thinks twice before doing that again. And our last story. Horrible boss gets what he deserves. This happened not that long ago. I worked a horrible job for a horrible boss that treated all of his employees badly, disrespecting their time and efforts, refusing to pay for working overtime, and even getting physical with male coworkers. He always looked to find ways to scam us into taking even a little bit of money from us, even though we worked minimum wage, and he was loaded. I didn't receive proper training because they didn't have enough staff. I had a shift alone on my second day there, and he tried to punish me for any mistakes I made because I worked with money. For all my time there, I wasn't allowed any off days. I had to work Monday through Sunday and repeat without being paid for the 10 hours on top of my 40 a week. I decided that it's time to quit, and right as I picked the date for my grand exit, the lockdown begins. We have no idea how long, but because of the pandemic, we'll be on lockdown. This would be a stupid time to quit since during the lockdown, we'd still be getting paid. After 2 months of staying home, our workplace opens again and I get called back to work. In those 2 months, I found out I was pregnant. Now, during the pandemic, pregnant women were not allowed to work and the government would pay for the expenses. My boss begs me to keep going to work because he needs employees until he figures it out. I accept only because I was bored. Keep in mind that me working there is illegal because he's taking money from the government to pay me, but is still forcing me to work. I'm at work one day and I get extremely sick. I call him to ask if I can leave and he tells me to suck it up and this isn't his problem. And because pregnancy brain is an actual thing, I get lost and make a mistake that means I'll now have to pay for it. I call him and let him know that when I get paid, I'll pay for it, thinking it's no big deal, but he loses his mind on me, starts calling me names and telling me that I need to give back the money right away. At this point, I'm sick of him. and this stupid job, so I tell him that the money will be given to him in about 30 minutes and not to expect me at work tomorrow. He tells me, fine, I'm fired. I go home and call a lawyer right away. I'm told that I am 100% right and that if this gets taken to court, it's the easiest case to win. Lawyer warns me that my boss might try to get me to sign documents saying that I quit myself, and that's what happened. He tried to get me to sign it, and I told him no, I want him to fire me. He threatened to sue me for making a mistake, and I just asked him how he was going to explain that I made that mistake because he forced me to work pregnant during a pandemic while lying to the government and getting money from them. He called later that day. I assume he spoke to a lawyer and found out that if he's taken to court, he'll lose a huge amount of money. He asked me to come back to work because he thought I was unaware of my rights. I told him that I'm not coming back to work and they can fire me if they want to. Legally, they aren't allowed to fire me because I was pregnant. So this is how I got months of paid leave because of the pandemic. And then months of maternity leave while also being paid. The company had to pay me for about 1.5 years until I quit. If he didn't treat me the way he did, I would have kept working and helped him. But he decided to go there, so I took what he loves the most, his money. Don't be a waste of a human being and treat people that make you money with respect, and maybe you won't get played. Toodles. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.